Hey guys, real quick before we get into this episode, I want to apologize. I realized I had two sources of audio while I was recording my voice. And so there will be times when the audio sounds like it's repeated on my end. I do want to just apologize for that. But hopefully you guys stick through it. And thanks for listening and watching. Hey guys, welcome back to the Atlanta Golfs Podcast. Oh my gosh, not this
We
again.
are so back. Yeah,
We are so back. ATL.
That's the intro. That is the intro right there.
That is a good
This is what
intro.
happens when Andrew.
Welcome to the ATL Golfs Podcast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ATL Golfs Podcast. This is episode 6, and we are covering the Frog Golf Club. We were on a long hiatus, about a month. I hope everyone had happy holidays, happy new year. I was in the midst of moving, and Joe was very patient with me while I was moving, so we are so back. Obviously, I am Andrew. I'm the host, and I've got the co-host, Joe Davis, and owner of ATL Golfs. And we are also joined by Tyler Morse, the general manager of the Frog Golf Club. Tyler, if you want to introduce yourself and say anything.
Yeah, sure. So GM here at the Frog as of March of 2025. Our company here, Bobby Jones Links, the management company, been with them for 8 going on 9 years. So it's been a fun stint here. Bounced around for a few clubs here. Was part of the team that helped open up Bobby Jones Golf Course down in Atlanta with the renovation. So I was there for about 6 years. And I've been in the golf business for, this is embarrassing now, 17 years. So it's been a fun career so far, but I love every second of it.
17 years, wow.
Yeah, first job was a cart attendant at 16 years old in high school, and it's been stuck with me ever since.
You're telling everyone your age now.
Yeah, the math wizards will figure it out.
Wait, how old are you? I'm 36. I have nothing to hide.
I'm 32. I turn 33 next month.
Yeah, you're talking about old, and I'm the oldest one on the call here.
You guys are old.
You're just a little baby.
Yeah. You guys are old. What are you guys talking about? You guys are both old. So jumping back into it, the Frog Golf Club, located in Villa Rica, Georgia. It's about 45 minutes, 40 miles away from the center of Atlanta. A bit of a haul, but I think once we get through this review, you'll realize it's kind of worth the drive, especially with all the other courses in the area. Founded in 1998, designed by Tom Fazio. Everyone knows who Tom Fazio is, so he designed Quail Hollow, North Carolina, Shadow Creek, as well as Pinehurst number 8. That's why I'm wearing my Pinehurst shirt today. And Garrett Van Dam bought the course in the year 2000, and I guess he owned it until 2024, right? And then in May of 2024, U.S. Strategic Capital owns the club now, and then they are managed by Bobby Jones Links, as you said.
Tyler, is that a relationship that y'all have with other courses, U.S. Strategic Capital, or is this specific to this golf course?
To my knowledge, it's just strictly here. They're a local company, and they were involved in the purchase when it made the transition. So they're one of one here with Bobby Jones Links, to my knowledge.
Okay, gotcha. Cool. Just curious. That's a whole other world I know little to nothing about. So always curious how that stuff happens. Cool.
Okay. Sweet. As you guys can tell, I'm a little bit shaky and shaking the rust off, so we're gonna keep trying to chug along and get into this. I swear the next episode will be better. It feels like the first again. So pricing. So weekday 18 in the morning, it's around $60. And then after 1 p.m., this is where the deal gets really good. It's $30. So even in the wintertime, 1 p.m., you can definitely still, get 18 in easily, I think. And so on the weekend for 18, Friday through Sunday, it ranges from $70 to $90. And so I think Friday, Saturday gets around to 70, 80. And then on Sunday, it gets around to 90 up there. But after 1 p.m., again, $55 to $40 on the lower end. So great pricing again for 18, especially on a weekend tee time. That's pretty much on par with, like Dogwood, how they are on the weekend. So
yeah. That's why I had the Frog as my best bang for your buck course in my Atlanta superlatives. So that's been a way more successful post than I expected. I think we just hit like 1.6 thousand shares. Like, what is going on?
That's
Dang.
Yeah, crazy.
that's well out.
That's cool. But well, cool. So what we'll do now, folks, this is your first time. We're going to be doing a course review. And the way the review is structured, a 5 out of 10 is not good and it's not bad. It's expectation, basically. I know sometimes with rankings, you see a 5 out of 10, you're thinking 50%, that's an F in school. No, that's not how this works here. A 5 out of 10 is okay. If I paid X amount of dollars, I got pretty much what I expected from that. Anything above a 5 is a little bit better value than expectation. A little bit below a 5 is below value for expectation. And so that's the framework we go based off of. And so we're going to go through the different features of the course and what it provides and give our ranking, talk about it, and allow Tyler to add some commentary as well from the course perspective and make our way through things. So I think first thing on the list is probably what the Frog might be most well known for, which is the layout. Andrew, take it away, sir.
I love the layout here. I was kind of switching through 18 birdies and looking at all the holes earlier today, and just every time I play there, it's always interesting. It's always fun. It's not biased towards anybody. So I gave it a solid 7.5 out of 10, which I think, is a really great ranking. The layout on both the front and the back are really great in my opinion. It doesn't get, super exciting on the front and then get really boring on the back or anything like that. There's tons of water features. I'm a big fan of the bunkers. I think they're beautiful. I think other courses a lot in the area at least kind of favor people who hit a big fade. And so a lot of the holes here at the Frog are just, either play left or you play right. So it just keeps it more interesting and fun. Hole 4 really stands out to me due to the water and the bunkers, and just keeps it fun and exciting for me. So I give it a solid 7.5 for a layout.
Yeah. I think I might even go a touch higher and give it an 8 out of 10. It's one of my, it's just strictly layout. It's definitely one of my favorites to go to. 'Cause like you said, you kind of get a little bit of everything. Probably the best collection, or one of the best collection of par 4s in particular. Like you said, the hole 4, that's a par 5 elevated tee shot towards the water. You have some decision making there. You're going to bring the water into play or not bring it into play, which I love always. I always love some risk reward that makes me think, but it's also very scenic and aesthetic from that elevated tee box as well. You got a drivable par 4 that is not the very next hole, but I think 2 holes later. So
yeah,
so that's a fun one as well. I love anytime you give me an opportunity for a drivable par 4, and it's actually drivable because it's downhill. And so even the not super long hitters, if you get a ball rolling on a dry day, it can roll up to the front of the green there, and it's actually relatively forgiving. You got the trees on the right, but you can still make par even if you end up slicing a little bit too much over there. So I think that's a great aspect. I would say if I had to find maybe a critique, I like the par 3s. I wouldn't say I love them. You got the first one's just kind of a pretty straightaway par 3. Not really I guess not really a forced carry. You got the bunker short, but it's pretty standard. But you do use a different club, at least I typically do, for every par 3. So I like the variety, at least from when I'm hitting. But there's not really one, at least for me, that really sticks out as wow, signature par 3. You have the forced carry one where it's a longer one, whatever, 180 going up to 200 plus with the forced carry everything. And I guess that would be maybe the one you would pick out as the best or most
that 8
or,
you're talking about?
Yeah,
I love that one.
I like it too.
About number 8.
Yeah,
that's
I
the
like
one.
8. It's just a brute. It's tough and
5 wood.
It's demanding.
It's definitely demanding. You got a little bailout on the right-hand side, which is where I typically end up anyways. But that'd be probably my I'm pulling at straws a little bit. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. So I obviously I like the layout, but I think there's a couple courses I've played that I think might have a little bit better collection of par 3s, but that's probably my my best critique I can put towards it. Tyler, how about you, man? What's kind of your take on the overall layout?
Yeah, I think you guys hit on a lot of good points that, everybody in every skill range and age range will give us feedback on. Fun story about 8 from everybody that I've talked to as long as this property's been here. 8 is the par 3 on the course that has the most hole-in-ones. With as tough of a shot as that is, that's the one that has the most aces. So, which I
crazy.
found very hard to believe, but that's what I've been told. So, I
Must be
think
the shape of the green and where the pin placements are or something.
everybody banks it off the right, and depending on where the pin is, if you get it rolling in the right spot, it's a guaranteed one. So, it's obviously a ton of luck, but that's the one most people say they get an ace on. So
Crazy.
it's impressive. But the thing that I liked about the layout the most is it makes you think a lot. You can't just stand up and rip driver, and it's not punishing you for hitting it far. And it's not one of those ones where it's a bunch of dog legs and you can't hit driver that much. You really have to pick a landing spot. I know you guys mentioned 4. That's a great example. You have water right. You have bunkers that basically just squeeze in right at a far landing spot. So it's a really tough 3-shot hole there for a par 5. Obviously, you can give it a go. The approach once you get to the fairway is pretty friendly. There's trees right, trees left, but there's not really any super trouble there. But the times that I've played it and the times that I've heard from when we've had tournaments out here, whether it's section tournaments or just regular contracted tournaments, it's people having to pick a landing spot, pick a shot that's not always driver. It's driver, 4-iron, 5-iron. Like they're going through the bag, hitting different clubs. It's not just 4-iron or driver, So I think that makes you think a lot more. Takes maybe a little bit of thought out of your swing, so you're swinging a little bit more freely too, as a positive. But it's not just grip it and rip it, and it's not Mickey Mouse golf. It's pretty straightforward, and it's thought provoking, which I really like.
Yeah, I mentioned the par 4s. I was just looking at the distances, and I love the flow. So obviously you have hole 1, which is over, playing from the golds, over 400 yards, and then you get to 2 and you're down to like less than 350. So automatically you have 2 very different par 4s and different feels. And then you make your way eventually to 6, which is where our drivable one is.
Mhm.
And then 7, you have kind of a really tight, slight dogleg left. You got a pretty forgiving landing area unless you want to take more on, in which case it gets a little more squirrely. But that's again a totally different feel of all the others with that really tight initial shot. And then 9, you're going uphill, but still not terribly long. Playing 350, 360, but uphill. So again, offering something that's different than what you've experienced on the others. Then you get to 10. Elevated tee shot, but 420 plus yard par 4. And then you get to 12 where you have that first really first left to right dog leg happens at that point. And it's definitely a tough one there as well. And let's see, we get to 14, which is again a different feel because you got water in play on the right.
Mhm.
I think is this the first par 4 that brings water into play? At least on the par 5.
On the
2 par 5s.
backside, yeah.
Yeah, so you got water brought in there, and then 15 you have a little bit of a shorter par 4, but you have that weird rough area short of the green where if you smoke a driver, you're not in a good position. So if you don't know, you want to cover the bunker but not go too far. So again,
Well, and that one's interesting too because the green is oriented perpendicular. So as if it was longer where most of the other holes are, it's an easier approach. That one, your landing area is so much smaller. So that one you really have to think of, all right, how far back do I need to be? What club do I want in my hand? Because I don't have much room to stop it.
Yeah, honestly, the play is almost just heading it towards the right trees just to give you a little bit more green to work with. But so that's another interesting one. And then the last, you got 17, another really, slight dog leg right, but a really demanding tee shot where you want to hit a good one, catch that speed slot to give yourself a little bit of a shorter iron in. Got the force carry over the water to get to the green. So again, another just different feel. So again, I think that collection of par 4s and the variety you're getting and the difference of challenges that you're going to be facing uphill, downhill, left, right, water, everything. I mean, it's hard to think of another course that strictly from like par 4s where you're just getting that much variety. It's great.
I think it does a good job too of it's a little give and take. It'll give you a tough hole and then an easy hole, and then you'll have an easy hole and it followed by a tough hole. So I think the layout of that, whether it was predetermined or if that was just a happy accident, I think that is really cool. That you get for five, you got an uphill par five playing all the way uphill. Even the approach is tricky. Then you've got six, which is a little short downhill drivable par four. So it's a good little give and take. It's not just totally beating you up. It gives you a few gifts throughout the round.
Definitely. Cool. Well, let's head on to pace. Personally, pace has always been great at the Frog, at least for me. I've probably played it, I don't know, 4 or 5 times now, and I've literally never had a poor experience as it relates to pace. So, I mean, it's always hard to kind of grade on a scale of 1 to 10 on pace, but based on my experience, I would say it's probably another 8 out of 10, 7, 8, somewhere in there, because I've just never had an issue. Maybe there are things that happen sometimes on the weekend, but at least for me, it's always been good. You, Andrew?
So I always play there during the weekday, just because I'm pretty frugal, and so 8 out of 10 during the weekday. I can't speak for the weekends, but I mean, I've played out there during the weekdays and just it's been completely empty. So I definitely, tell everyone get out there on a weekday, get a good price out there, and you'll be cruising if you're playing well or you're, just a fast player. I've never really had an issue. I am curious though, like what are you guys doing on the weekends? Because I know on the weekends y'all get pretty booked up. So y'all obviously have marshals out there and are enforcing pace of play. So maybe Tyler can give us some more insight about how true the pace of play is on the weekend for most of our viewers and listeners.
Yeah, weekends obviously with the uptick in play, especially from the increase last year, those are a lot busier than weekdays. It's not night and day, but it is slightly busier. We do have starters and rangers throughout the weekend right now, and we're looking to expand that with our increase in volume from last year to Thursday through Saturday or Thursday through Sunday, as opposed to just Saturday, Sunday. Because we know on the times that you guys have mentioned, weekdays, depending on when you're out here, I mean, you can cruise. We did 9 holes the other day. We had a group that played in an hour and 32 minutes, so they can move around pretty quick. If you get it at the right time. Now, obviously, weekends, that's going to be tougher to achieve, but our goal with trying to expand our staff and our services to that from a starter and ranger standpoint is to try to be pretty close to consistent throughout the week. We know it's obviously not going to be copy and paste from a Tuesday to a Saturday morning, but we want to be able to get that as close to the same as possible. So we're putting in our measurables with some of our team members and just expanding that a little bit more when that's not something that's been done here in the past.
Yeah. What how do y'all space your tee times?
We're 10-minute intervals.
Perfect. Yeah.
Very
I
standard.
feel like any course is at least 10 minutes, you're setting yourself up for success at that point. Anything other than that, then things start getting cramped and inevitably. So
the highest that I've ever had it at a facility was 15 minutes. That was golden. There was no pace of play issues there. It obviously limits how many you can put on the tee sheet, but yeah, that was between 15 and 12-minute tee times like those. That's the golden spot. 10 is great, and I think that's where most of your busy public or semi-privates need to be. But yeah, 15 minutes, that was a whole another ball game.
Yeah, definitely. But again, it's that give or take, right? So if you go to 15 minutes, like in order to make the numbers make sense, your greens fees are going to go up. Like they have to. You're having to make more money per golfer at that point. So there's that give and take. That is what it is. What hole tends to back things up the most?
Well, our back-to-back par fives on 4 and 5, that causes a little bit of a bottleneck. Everybody wants to try to hit the hero shot. On 4, it's a little easier. 5 is sometimes a little tougher just because it's an uphill approach. But with 6 being on the back end of that of a relatively short par 4, things start to move a little bit quicker there. But yeah, which I love the back-to-back par 5 concept. I think that's a lot of fun, and it gives everybody an early scoring opportunity. But that's where we do get a lot of bottlenecks. Everybody tries to step up and hit it, and hits tops at 4 feet, and then they hold up 3 more groups. So
it's me. It's me.
Andrew's like, why are you attacking me?
This was personal.
I left the names out of it. But yeah, that's where we'll see on busier days a little bit of a bottleneck.
Makes sense.
Sweet.
All right, let's head on to tee boxes. This is Andrew's passion. Andrew's a big tee box aficionado, tee box snob, if you will. So let him have it.
No, honestly, I'm not letting him have it. I think these are great. I was thinking back about it, and there wasn't a single moment when we played last week or 2 weeks ago where I felt like my feet were uneven or I was slipping. All the tee boxes had grass. They were cut down as short as, I expect. So I think this is the highest rating I've given a tee box so far is an 8 out of 10.
Wow, that has to be the highest.
Yeah. Dude, I think I give a lot of 6s and 7s.
Yeah,
6, 7.
definitely.
But I mean, super even tee boxes for the most part. Like, what am I expecting from a public course? I've played some of these private courses and they have immaculate tee boxes, but for a public course that gets tons of play, these are great. I can't recommend the tee boxes enough, I guess. I think it also depends on where you're playing from, but I would imagine the blues get a lot more play compared to the golds or blacks. And so I don't know, just 8 out of 10 solid tee boxes. 10 out of 10 over 8 out of 10 would play on those tee boxes again.
Nice.
What about you, Joe?
I was looking back at my review from the summer, actually, and I think I gave it at that point a 7 out of 10. So, yeah, I think the tee boxes overall are pretty good. I think back then, Tyler, remember when you were riding along with us for a bit, there were a few tee boxes struggling due to lack of sunlight. I know you were working on those at that point. Yeah, I think to echo Andrew, honestly, for most tee boxes, as long as they're, if it's a driver hole, I kind of just need it to be even, like in some grass, obviously for some grip, but I think maybe when we played last, there was a few that had gotten a little soggy, I would say. So maybe that's a mark against it, but that's conditions more or less than the actual tee boxes themselves. Yeah, I think 7 or 8. I mean, either way, you're getting more than what you experience at more expensive courses or courses that are similar price point. I mean, literally, I played at White Columns not that long ago, and there was probably, I don't know, 4 to 5 where I'm like, golly, this is not comfortable right now. So, and I don't remember experiencing that at all at the Frog. So good stuff.
Solid,
That's awesome.
solid.
Love to hear that. Andrew, you actually be very happy. That is a point of emphasis that we've determined with myself and the superintendent that we're going to beef up a little bit this year.
Oh, cool.
So we've got some fertilizer applications, some additional ones that have never been done here before. So we're going to try to make those tee boxes even more lush this year. So I personally would like to bring the height of cut down just a little bit, make them a little firmer. So get them closer to what you might see at a private club or something like that, but with still being able to handle 30,000 rounds, 31,000 rounds out here on a busy public course. So that's a point of emphasis for us from a condition standpoint this year that we've put a lot of stuff in play already for. So you'll be excited come summertime, if weather holds, that those should be better than what they have been in the past.
I am pumped for summer. I mean, the Frog has been just moving in a great direction since I've last year, basically.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we're gonna probably get new tee markers this year too. I'm crowdsourcing and looking at different vendors for those, but I think it's time for us to have some nicer ones out there. So
do some logo.
Yes, that's what we're playing with.
Those are
we've got to
cool.
make sure that pricing makes sense and make sure that they're good out there from just a moving everyday standpoint. There's a few factors you got to take into account there, but I think we have an amazing logo. I'm trying to put it on everything that we can: t-shirts, hats, hoodies, you name it. And I think tee box markers are the next thing that we can use those in a good way.
I think when I think of some of the top course logos, like the Frog is definitely up there with like Heritage, the Fields. Like those are the 3 that stand out to me right away, at least.
So here, actually, you know what? I have top secret. This is one of the proofs that I have.
An ATL Golfs exclusive, everybody.
ATL Golfs exclusive. So this is not final. We've not ordered this yet. This is just a proof of concept, but it's
nice.
Those are nice.
We
Nice.
have them
Just
with the wording and without the wording. I think the logo is good enough without it, but something like
That's the
this, I
beautiful
think,
thing about being called the Frog. There's nothing else like it. All you got to do is see the Frog logo. It says it is what it is.
exactly
From a
100%.
marketing perspective, it's
yeah.
brilliant.
So we'll have something along those lines. It may not be that particular vendor we work with, but something like that's going to be done this year. We're going to have something else out there.
Love it.
Yeah. And to me, it's those little things that take a tee box, ranking. Like there's on the baseline of, we want it flat, we need some grass, that sort of thing. But then there's obviously what gets something from a 7 or 8 to like a 9+. It's going to be the little things. It's going to be cool, unique tee markers that, are memorable. It's going to be some of the little aesthetic touches. I think about, the chimneys and some of their stonework, and St. Marlo actually does a decent job with some of that stonework as well around some of their tee boxes, like, or just whether it's plants or flowers or whatever it is, to get to that upper, echelon of rankings. That's the difference basically at that level. So
Yeah.
Cool.
Love it.
Let's head on to greens.
Fairways.
Sorry. Yep. Sorry. Fairways. I mixed that. Fairways. We always are like fairways are fairways.
Yeah. Fairways be fairways.
Yeah. Yeah. I have zero, I think, complaints about the fairways. They're always in good condition. I think from a irrigation standpoint, I mean, even though last time we played it rained pretty well, there was very minimal places that I can remember where, things were soggy or issues or, Georgia dirt popping through.
Yeah.
Like to me, they're solid.
There's two that we've identified from last year, and granted, I got here in March of last year, so we were kind of in season. It was tough to tackle stuff then, but this off season, we've identified a couple holes that did have some bad drainage areas that we've been working on. So those should be fixed and repaired and worked on come season this year. 10 was one of them, just because it sits down there, downhill, right in there between the bunkers. So we're working on that one. 15's another one towards the green that we've been working on too. So they're nothing that's impacting play. It's just the little things like you mentioned. They stay wet. We need to get them fixed. So we're working on that this off season.
Yeah, and I don't know if we would fold this into fairways or what, but I know there's also kind of the previous bunkers turning into waste areas. I guess you kind of fold a little bit of that in there. Speaking of 15, I guess, and 14, that area did it used to be bunkers and now you're just letting it grow up basically into a more of a waste area?
Yeah, there's 3 that were identified that were not part of the renovation that we did for the bunkers in basically 2024 into 2025. That was the first pot bunker, the big pot bunker on the right side of number 9, the whole path down on the right side of 11, and then the big lake bunker there between 14 and 15. When the course was built, those were bunkers, and I actually saw a picture of it when it was being grown in. They had a big dump truck that they were coming and bringing bunker sand. The only problem is with that is because it wasn't maintained for a while and it kind of fell to the wayside. There's not an easy way to get that much sand out there. If it was maintained for a while, then we can just fill it in a little bit here and there. But to redo an entire bunker without tearing up fairways to get a dump truck out there, it's not possible. So the goal and the vision behind those is basically to turn them into your Pinehurst waste bunkers. Basically what you'll see down the fairways and past outside the fairways on Pinehurst number 2 is kind of what we're going to do. We don't have their budget, but if Pinehurst number 2 wants to send us some auxiliary funds, that would be cool. But that's kind of the model that we're working with and what we can do in-house to turn those sections in there. So we've cleaned up like some of the high fescue that was on the bunker on 15's been cut down. So it they're still in the
Hello? Hello? Oh, we lost Tyler.
back. Sorry, we're back.
We're back. We're so back.
But yeah, so that's the model and the vision of what we're working around is the waste bunkers area on Pinehurst number 2.
Nice. Because I mean, what goes into that? I mean, I'm thinking specifically about like 9, the right hand side. Like right now, it's just sort of whatever. So what takes it from a sort of I don't even know what you call it right now, like a, a cancerous
It's
bunker
trash. Yeah, it's trash. You
into
can, yeah.
into an actual waste area. Like, what is the process of converting that,
So
what's kind of the gameplay to it?
the one on 9 will actually be a grass bunker. We're gonna fill that one in and then sod over it, and that'll be a grass bunker. We've put like some fill dirt in there. We put our aerification plugs in there when we did our fall aerification. So we're working on building that up, and then that'll be grassed over and just basically be a grass bunker like a mound.
Nice.
But 11 and 14 and 15, those will be the ones that we'll work on a little bit this year, mainly in the big off season this year. But that's just kind of cleaning it up a lot just because of what was in there. There'll be a little layer to fill in the base so that, it's not liner or dirt. So there's a little bit of something in there. And then it's just maintaining the grass that's in there, making sure weeds don't come up, maintaining the edges, similar like we would with a bunker face. So you don't have fescue popping up, you don't have other stuff that you don't want there. So it's more so maintaining rather than like rebuilding it, but it's making sure that you have a good base in there of like, a little bit of sand or a little bit of dirt and a little bit of mineral and fertilizer, and then you just maintain that.
Oh,
Got
cool.
it. Yeah. So you can, you can find your ball, and the lie will be, well, depends if there's a tough of
Right. So
in front of you or not, which is the same at Pinehurst, right? Pinehurst is,
right.
if you're over there in the waste area, it's luck of the draw. You might have a great
Yep.
lie and perfectly fine, or you might have a tough of, fescue right in front of your ball and you're screwed. So
Hey, yeah, it's 50-50. Just don't hit it there. Hit it on the green. It's fine.
Speaking of greens, I guess we're moving on to greens next.
ooh, segue. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
Joe, what do you think of the greens? I have a pretty good ranking, so I want to hear yours first.
Well, real quick, for your joke or for your segue there,
Thank you.
I'm out of practice with my my soundboard usage. I gotta get back in the groove. But yeah. So the greens, so bent grass greens, and so in general, when I'm going into a course, knowing that they're bent grass, there's a few things that I'm looking for. Obviously, bent grass tends to be a little bit quicker in my experience because they can kind of roll them down and you don't have to worry about the grain and that sort of thing. So from a consistency standpoint, I always like putting on bent grass. The downside of bent grass is definitely the pitch marks and how soft they can get. I know in the summer specifically, they had gotten really, really soft, and we're definitely having some pitch mark fixing issues. They're just, and sometimes it's just they're so soft that it takes a chunk out of them, and I don't know how you fix that. Just sort of is what it is. So I would say in general though, especially this last time we played, considering it gotten cooler, the greens had firmed up. They were in very good condition. I would say based off of kind of price point and looking at how I've kind of ranked other courses at kind of similar, I'm probably going to be in that little, we'll call it a 7.5, I think. 7.5, I would say is kind of where I would say I'm at. There were, I'm trying to think of which green I'm thinking of. I think it was maybe 2, if I'm not mistaken. It was fine. I could tell it wasn't super healthy. And I had to kind of take that into account, but it wasn't dying. It was just, I could just tell it wasn't prime. But yeah, I would say in general though, I'm always satisfied with the greens at the Frog. What do you got, Ginger?
I thought it was great. I had a great time putting on the greens at the Frog. Also just hitting approach shots and stuff like that. I think talking about the cooler weather definitely helps out the bent grass greens and stuff like that. So, I mean, I didn't make all my putts. I 3-putted a lot, but that's just me being bad. That doesn't mean the greens are bad. But I was super impressed with just like grip and, being able to hit approach shots and have them stay on. Apparently I hit this crazy spin back shot that rolled back, 20 feet, but I didn't get to see it. So I'm happy with the greens. I gave it a high rating. I'd say around an 8.5 even. Just every time I play the Frog, the greens are always in pretty good shape. And I know it's tough with the pitch marks with the bent grass, but I think most of the players over there are pretty good about repairing them for the most part. There seems to be a lot of respect out on the course when it comes to clientele out there. And so, yeah, solid 8.5 for me.
Nice.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, Joe, number 2 is one of the ones that we have a lot of issues with. So this past season, like you're spot on. It was healthy. We just had some encroachment from some weeds and some disease that were out there. So we've hit that with some heavy fertilizer. We even had the maintenance team out there was hand picking the weeds out of there. So, those things that we've identified, the greens are our product. That's the one that everybody writes home about. So we know those need to be in top shape. We're fortunate with the bent grass that we can play in the winter and the cooler months a little better than some of the Bermuda places might be able to. And we've actually started working on a little bit more of a consistent plan for cutting and rolling to firm them up a little bit. So even in the summertime, like obviously we'll have to keep them wet so they don't get overheated, but they won't be as super wet and soft as they were last year. They'll be a little firmer. You'll get a little bit more bounce as opposed to taking a 3-inch divot, and pitch mark out of there. So those were identified. That stuff we wanted to work on in this off season to make sure that we were ready for the summer.
Late in the summer, I think I saw someone post that there was a pretty significant POA issue that happened. I think it was like what 13's green maybe had some issues, or I'm trying to remember. It is totally off the top of my head, but I saw a review where there was a handful of greens that there was some pretty significant POA coming into play, or I think it was POA. I could be wrong about what the actual thing was, but there were some issues with the greens, if I'm not mistaken.
Number 2 was the one that we had the most. There was a little bit on, I think, 2 holes on the back 9, but it wasn't as bad as number 2. Number 2 is basically the whole front edge, basically from side to side, the first quarter. So we had our team basically work from edge to edge of removing as much as we could by hand so that we didn't just, it wasn't a spray and then it comes back. It was just to remove it so it's completely gone. And then once we did that, we applied the fertilizer and the chemicals to basically keep it at bay, keep it in the collar to where then we can address it from there. And then our pre-emerge and everything that we've done this year has basically been green side, and then we've extended like a 15-foot radius outside of the collar so that we can continue pushing that back and fighting it. So it's, unfortunately, it's not something that is an easy fix. It's not like somebody slams their club in the ground. You can just pull that plug out and replace it with another. So this one requires a little bit more elbow grease, but it is something that, we have the means to do it. We have a good team that's on it and pretty responsive. So anytime stuff like that pops up, we'll try to get it solved as fast as we can.
Makes sense.
Shout out to the Frog for that. Putting in some elbow grease, pulling out by hand sounds awful.
The guys were in there with the little hand plugs, pulling them out in the middle of 90-degree weather in the summer. Like they were kicking ass. They were doing a really good job. And it showed. Obviously all of the worst part of it's gone. We'll see when it gets hot. Once how much of that we've actually defeated and removed permanently, and how much of that's still lingering. And then we'll hit it with round 2 this year. So.
Nice.
Makes sense. Cool. Well, on to bunkers, which is definitely a hot topic with the Frog. So, and it's been a journey. I'm
gotta
sure.
Get ready for this one.
That's it's interesting. I literally just did a review earlier this week with like Heron Bay, and the reason I mentioned that is like Heron Bay has 1 million bunkers, and that's like a feature. And so if there are issues with what is a primary feature, it just stands out. And I think the Frog has suffered from some of that as well. Now, the history here is that, like I've already kind of alluded to, Tyler, previous ownership let the bunkers kind of go, and that was probably what most people remembered about the Frog previous to Bobby Jones kind of taken over and started managing things. I know a big selling point of the bunker renovation that completed, was it June ish?
Yeah, it was March and April of 25. So this past year, between March and April, is when we finished.
Gotcha. So finished the bunker renovation to bring it, back up, at least the main ones, and then obviously you guys making decisions on which ones you're gonna let grow over. And then I know we played it. Whatever we played 2 or 3 weeks ago. And unfortunately you could already see that, some of them are starting to show some wear and tear signs already. So before we kind of get into rankings, just kind of curious to hear your perspective on that journey and kind of where things sit.
Yeah, unfortunately, like you mentioned there, we kind of got dealt a bad hand of here's a mess, clean it up. So, okay, the main goal of the bunker renovation that started towards the end of 2024 into that March and April last year was basically, some of these bunkers didn't have sand. It was just pure liner, dirt, black mud. It was awful. Basically, every bunker on the golf course at one point was played as ground under repair. And there are some great bunkers out here, and there's some great framing that they provide to the holes. So we basically with that renovation was get sand in all the bunkers. We're going to make sure that from top to bottom we have sand. There's no liners that are exposed on the base anymore. There's no dirt. It's all sand. So we did enough basically to say, all right, everything but the three that we've identified on 9, 11, and 14, everything has sand in it. It's all smoothed out. It is a true bunker. And when we did that, we removed a lot of the ground under repair stakes. What we have planned for this year is to basically continue what that was, but adding some more to it. So some of those bunkers that you mentioned, if they're the bigger bunkers where they're thin down at the bottom line, you see the grass starting to come through. That's just because there's not enough sand in those areas to keep it as a bunker. It's basically treating it that there's thin enough layer for grass to grow in. So we have a similar budget and game plan for the sand for this year. So a lot of that's going to be like fill in and adding some. So for those bunkers that play as firm or it feels like you're just hitting the liner as soon as you take a shot, those are going to have more bunkers in them or bunker sand throughout this year. And then we're going to touch up some of the edges as well. We did that when we did our renovation last year. So it's just going to be maintaining that. So adding a little bit more sand in there so to combat the recession and basically we've established the baseline. Now we have to continue the maintenance. So what we're doing this year is basically what I think is the preventative maintenance and what you should consistently be doing for your bunkers on a yearly basis to make sure that they're still in good shape.
Got it. So just to kind of rephrase that, so this past year was just trying to get back to a higher baseline, and then
Yes.
now that you've made that huge jump, each year will just be more about touch up essentially. So it's management, and ideally, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I would imagine that every year that you treat the bunkers well, the following year gets a little bit easier because I imagine it just creates more of a base and easier to manage and less thinning out and so on and so forth.
Yep. So now that we've established that base, we can do, not as drastic of a renovation, but we can just maintain it. We can add some more sand, we can touch up the edges. And this also gives us the opportunity that, if we want to do some things that are memorable, knowing that everyone drew attention to the bunkers and that was a real sore spot here. If we want to do some things there that highlight the change and highlight, hey, this is now making a change and turning around, whether it's different style of rakes, whether it's bunker stamps, whether it's you name it, whatever you can throw in there to try to do the little things to make those things stand out in a positive way now instead of a negative way. Nobody likes being in bunkers. We all know that, but you still have to have them. They still have to be in good shape, and the little things that you can do that people will remember, as opposed to, holy crap, they were terrible. And now it's, oh man, I was in the bunker and that sucked, but this was cool and there was sand in there and it was raked and those kind of things.
Makes sense. Well, Andrew, I'll let you. I've been talking, so let's hear
Yeah, no, you're good.
bunker rating.
I think it's average. It's 5 out of 10. There's sand in them. The edges are moderately clean. I've definitely played worse for about similar price. And so it's cool to know. I wish there were, I don't know if there is. I can't remember if I even paid attention to it, but I wish there was more signage of like what the waste areas were. Because I love those big giant bunkers. I think those are like really fun and interesting. I am sad to know that they're not going to be bunkers anymore and that they're going to be waste areas. But I think those are.
No, so there's the main bunkers on the back-to-back par 5. Those are fine.
Yeah.
The waste area ones are on the back 9.
14, 15.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm thinking of, is it hole 6? Or
Hole
has
6
it,
is the downhill short par 4. The one before that is the uphill par 5.
Yeah, you're back to back on hole 4. That bunker that is on the back side of the lake, that's been fixed. That's now an actual playable bunker, and it's got sand in it. So that one's
Okay.
been repaired. That one I really like because it's on the back side. It's a little bit of a tricky landing spot, and it looks good too. And it's
it's
a bigger bunker. So now when you stand out there, you look at it now instead of it being gray and brown and black, and now it's pure white, and it looks night and day different.
It's the Instagrammable shot.
Yes,
for sure.
yes.
Yeah. So the one the waste bunker that we're talking about is the shorter par 4 near the lake. That's just short of the lake. I'm trying to think who was in that when we played last. Like there was someone in it.
Was it Ryan? No, it was Troyce.
Yes.
Yes.
Joyce was
he
in
did
that.
say he
Joyce is
was.
in that.
Yeah.
Joyce is in the waste bunker, and then chunked it into the water. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out Joyce for that. Way to
Sorry,
call him
Joyce.
out.
And Tyler's put his head in his hand because he's also his coach. So
That was before we started working. Now we're fixing it. We're good.
Gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think average bunkers, I mean, I've definitely seen them worse. So seeing improvements is always good, and knowing that courses are made, like making these efforts. I think that's why like this podcast is so important and so interesting for most people, is that like you get to hear this inside scoop about, hey, management is, they know these problems exist and that they know they're working on it, and the viewers and listeners can see that, hey, like they're trying. And so knowing all the efforts and all the work that has been put in already, is just great. Because before the Frog started, working on all these renovations and stuff, the first time I played, because I'd heard great things about it, I was kind of let down the first time I had ever played, because I've only been golfing for 2 years. And so I went, it was like one of the first courses I had gone to out of the dozen that I'd started when I first started golfing. And I was like, man, I've heard great things about this place, but really let down. And, just playing recently, 2-3 weeks ago, the improvements have been insane. Fast work has been done in the short time frame that you guys have been there. So,
Yeah.
Okay, for sure.
For me, so in the summer when they were a little bit more recently renovated, I think I gave it a 7 out of 10. I think now that, like we just talked about, that they've regressed a little bit. Probably just going to drop that down to probably 6, because one thing I like about the bunkers is the sort of rustic look and feel. I think about hole 2, those bunkers that are just awesome, but they have that sort of I don't know, tobacco road, or that just sort of natural look and feel that I really I personally like. And so I think from an aesthetic view, I give it a little notch above, standard. So it's kind of where we sit there. All right, let's move on to practice facilities. And Andrew, I was looking at your notes on practice facility, and you made the exact same mistake that I made the very first time that I did rankings for the practice facility, because there is a chipping and putting green tucked away on the other side of the clubhouse that if you don't know, then you would never know. And it's awesome, actually. It's a really good little area. It's got there's a practice bunker there as well. And so you have a nice little short game area. You have to just go on the other side of the clubhouse from the range.
Okay.
So like where 18 green is, it's like to the right of 18's green.
Oh, okay.
So the funny story about that was when the course was originally built, it was supposed to be a 36-hole facility, and that green was going to be the 18th green for the other course before Marriott got out of it and not involved, because it was going to be basically a Marriott hotel, and 36 holes out here. So now it's obviously the chipping and putting green down there. It's tough to know it's down there. I love the area. I hate the placement. I wish I could pick it up and move it. But we did do some renovation down there this past year as well. We had a little drainage area that we fixed. We increased the area of the green. We seeded some more of the bent grass down there and grew in a little bit more area, just so it can handle the volume down there. So that reopened October. We had it closed for a few weeks to do that renovation. So now it's ready to rock.
Nice. Yeah. I would recommend, because I made the same as like Andrew, like some signage. I'm sure there is a sign, but obviously there's not enough, because I think people just see the range, and in most cases you go to the range and then you're looking around and all you see is a tiny little putting green next to hole 1. You're like, is this the putting green?
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah. I did too. At the very first time, I was like, this is so strange. There's plenty of space to have a decent sized putting green. What's going on? But so maybe something out at the range. I don't even know how you would do it, but hey, looking for the chipping green, go that way.
Just steer into the skid. Are you looking for it? It's this way.
Yeah. But yeah. So I was looking at your ranking. I was like, oof.
Yeah, you could take the lead on the practice facilities, and I'm not available for the ranking then.
No, you're good. So yeah, I would say, look, for me, if I got a grass range, number 1, number 2, I have a chipping green, number 3, I have a putting area that's decent, and a in a bunker to practice out of. I mean, check. The only thing I would say is probably that green is pretty small. So to be chipping and putting on it, you know, if you have more than, you know, a couple, maybe 2 or 3 people, it can feel a little cramped. So that would just be a mark against it. Would definitely prefer a larger putting space to practice, especially because, you know, there is some good, you know, larger greens. I mean, there's a couple of really big greens where you can end up with a 60 foot putt. So having a little bit more space to dial in those speeds, I think would be one mark against it. But as far as features go, you kind of have everything you need there. And then I know another thing that you guys do, if I'm not mistaken here, Tyler, that, you know, those higher end tee times, prime time on the weekends, are y'all throwing in a small range bag now or not?
Not currently, but that's part of the plan when we get into season this year. Yeah, because we've got some things we're going to try to do to the range. Just some little things, you know, aesthetically to make it a little bit more pleasing to the eye. The grass tee is helpful, and we've got 2 tiers of it, so we've got plenty of room. It's just maintaining that and the few things that we want to do to just elevate that a little bit. So yeah, that'll be rolled out probably March, April, but we're going to change some things with that.
Nice. Will there be a little bit nicer like club stands or bag stands, whatever we call this? Because those faded green plastic ones.
No, and I will just full disclaimer, those predate me.
I'm
So
sure. I bet they've been there for 10 years.
I'm sure they've been here for longer than that. But they look like they belong at my daughter's daycare and not at the golf course.
Yeah.
So,
It's got that faded slide look.
Yes,
it looks like
yes.
it should be at an M&M. Yeah, it looks like it should be at a McDonald's play place.
It's giving
exactly
90s, 2000s.
Exactly. So, you know, things like that of just, you know, easy changing the bag stand, having club cleaners out there, even having just a bench or something to sit down on a hot day, like things that don't require much effort, and are marginally not expensive, just get those out there and make it better. You know, even having a members only, you know, we're semi-private, we do have some members, having a members only section that's roped off, like little things like that, can help make that just look night and day different.
Yeah, definitely. So I'd say practice facility ranking. We'll do a mark against it because just the putting area is pretty small. But the other side to it, there is that. I like, you know, knowing there is that other putting green. I like that little mini putting green next to the first tee because if you're waiting for the first tee, you have something to do at least. So actually, I would actually mark that up. So I'm gonna give it a. We'll go 7.5, 8 out of 10. Like it's great. I mean, the only thing I would add to it is some of that. You know, you add those aesthetic things. And give me a little bit larger putting surface, you're at a 10 out of 10 basically. So yeah, I think it's awesome. It's great. It's a great practice facility. So cool. I think, you know, as far as recommendation goes, yeah, I think, you know, definitely recommend playing the Frog. If we get into value real quick, because that's, you know, one of my big things about my reviews and what I'm always focused on is value. Now, it's hard with dynamic pricing. It's very difficult to really center in on an exact number, right? Because it's so vast. $30 for it is like a 20 out of 10 value. Like it's unbelievable. But $90, which is you know, very few of the tee times, you know, I would say you're on the other side potentially of the value proposition. So that's where I'm probably gonna meet somewhere in the middle. I think a good 7 is probably fair, just considering all the we're currently in the summer. I actually give it a little bit of a notch up. I give it an 8, but again, some of the little conditions have regressed a touch. I would expect probably back in the summer. The other nice thing, and when we went and played, I mentioned this to you, but tees are now in the cart, and it's a little thing. It's a very tiny little thing, but I've been in my Instagram comments with a guy talking about Bears Best, and I was like, Bears Best paying $135, I don't get tees in the cart. It's a little thing, but it's like if I'm paying
crazy,
and even if I'm not paying that amount, if I still get the little things, then it's like it feels extra special.
Sorry.
So, what's that?
We lost him for a second again.
For a second, we're back.
Oh, all good. And they're not just, and the fact is the tees aren't just little random wooden ones that, and those are fine, but they got the logo. They look great. Like they're cool. I want to keep them. I want to grab a couple before I leave and throw them in my bag. Like they're really neat. So it's a little thing, but to me, the little things are what get you up from yeah, cool. I got exactly what I paid for, 5 out of 10. Oh, I got this little extra thing, and this was actually pretty nice. And the practice facility was great. I could have grass tees. Oh, and there's this little putting green next to the first tee, which is cool. And oh, look at this. I really like the
tee markers are the frog logo. There's a giant stone frog at the first tee.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry, I literally just got I'm like ADD right now.
I thought you froze for a second.
One of my golf pass things did not include the actual passes, which is so stupid. So I gotta fix that. Really, please go to my brain right now. Anyways, cool. So what about you, Andrew? Going into the value.
First off, 7 out of 10. And I was thinking about this. I'm a super frugal guy. Don't like spending a lot of money. But if it came down to it, if my buddies are in town and they all want to play golf and we don't want to play some rinky-dink place, I would gladly pay $90 to play on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday with 3 of my good buddies. And so 7 out of 10, I think, it's great just because after 1 p.m., $30 is crazy. So that's a 10 out of 10. But again, if my buddies are in town, I'm willing to pay that $90. If it's just me and, some local buddies and stuff like that, $90 is steep for me. And so I would not gladly pay it. I'd pay it if I had to, but not gladly.
Yeah. I'm right there as well. So I think at the $90 range, you're at for me, probably just below value, 3.5, 4 out of 10. Anything, I think pretty much right. Once you get under $80, I feel like you're on the other side of 5. At 80, you're probably like a 5.5. And then as you get lower and lower in price point, you're just increasing the value of what you're getting for what you're paying there. So, yeah, I think that's probably where I'm at. But Tyler, any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So the good thing about that dynamic pricing model that we have here is it will adjust. It's not something that's going to be set in stone. If it, a slower time of the year, less utilized time of the tee sheet, those prices are going to drop. The higher value ones, those are going to be your Friday, Saturday morning that are going to be that $80 to $90 range. And Joe, to your point, like we are working to add the value to those, like the tees, even though it's a small thing, it's something that I see throughout the golf course now on tee boxes. A tee that I helped design, which it was a 2-minute design, and it's like, okay, cool, now I know people are using them, now I know people are putting them in their pocket or taking them home to frame it or whatever they want to do with it. But things like that, things like, establishing a bag drop, having somebody out there to grab your bags and greet you at the facility, trying to add to that experience, not to jack the price up higher, but more so to plateau and feel valued at that. So that, everybody that comes out here that's not a member can still be treated like a member for the day, and they get that experience while they're out here. This is a daily escape. We're not super close to Atlanta. You're going to make the hike out here, it's going to be an all-day sucker. So we want you to be valued while you're out here. We want you to be welcomed and feel like that, not just pay a steep price, play a nice golf course, go home. So those things are, now that we've put out some of the bigger fires, the bunkers, the course condition things, now we can kind of look inward and work on fixing those things and enhancing those for everybody.
Yeah, and one thing we didn't even talk about, I mean, even just the eating area, the bar is a nice spot to kind of hang out with after a round. What did I get last time I was there? Did I get a chicken salad sandwich or BLT or something? Either way, it was good. So, and they have Tropicali on tap, which hell yes, please. So, just those little extras as well elevate the experience too. So, well, cool. Well, I think we have 2 little things we want to do. Talking about the number 1 handicap. We'll do a little course management.
Before we get into that, I need to use the restroom so bad.
Go for it. A little discussion before we kick things off about the number 1 handicap. Do we want to talk about hole 1, or do we want to do what's actually the hardest hole, arguably the hardest hole on the course? And what'd you say, Tyler? Was it 17? Or
in my opinion, 17 is the most demanding hole out here. Technically
we'll see
rated
that one.
1 is the hardest, but I think 17 is the one that gives people
Cool.
fits.
Let's then we'll talk about 17. Why not? So basically 17, just to kind of describe it real quick. It is from the goals. We'll do it from the goals. So about 425 yards par 4. It is a slight dogleg left to right. Off the tee, you have a group of bunkers on the left, and to cover the last one, it would take about a 270 carry to get over that left side. Then on the right side, you got trees that are squeezing in, and there's a sneaky hazard down there, like a little drainage area that
There's a little creek down there.
I've managed to end up in. It's just, you think you're like, oh, it's okay, I'll find it in the trees. There's a creek. Had no idea. So there's a sneaky hazard there on the right, and so it just gets really thin. I mean, in order to get to where the fairway even starts to widen up again, it's at 300 plus. Which you can get that because there's a little bit of a speed slot, but that tee shot is so demanding. And if you lay up, well, you can't, because you're going to be blocked out by the trees on the right. So you have to hit driver pretty much to take the trees out of play. And then, guess what? On your approach, you're probably going to have a mid iron and maybe a shorter iron, but probably mid iron for most hitters. And you have a forced carry with water short. And it's also a pretty large green, where if you're on the wrong side of the green, you're going to have you're in
Super
3-putt
long
territory.
putt.
So it's definitely, or if you're Andrew, a 4-putt.
No, I just hit 5 wood.
That's right. Yeah, Andrew, the king of the 5-wood long putt. So yeah, that's the hole in a nutshell. So Tyler, if you were talking to a typical mid handicapper approaching that hole, what would be kind of your advice? How would you play it?
So I would kind of play it as a bogey hole. You're playing for 5 there. If you par it, great. If you get a birdie, then you're stealing one on the field. But the widest part of the fairway is basically before it narrows right there in between the creek fall off in the bunker, and then it widens on the backside. For the big hitters, hammer driver, it's still a narrow shot. You might be in the rough, but you can at least get down on the bottom tier. But if someone is carrying 250, 270, maybe take a little bit less, something that's a little confident builder, hit it to the fat part of the fairway before the dip in the fairway and before things start to narrow. The layup would be easy in that regard if you played it as a par 5. For a bogey, it's a longer stretch of fairway, and then it's basically just a 90-degree straight shot across to the green, as opposed to trying to hit a long iron, cooking it, some sort of a fade or slice in there. And that green's raised a little bit, everything drops off on the sides. It's not a fun place to miss. And so that would be my advice. Would take something that you're confident getting off the tee with, a 200 to 220-ish club, hit another layup and pick a number that you want a really good wedge at. If you hit it close, you got a good chance at saving par. If not, 2-putt bogey is not the worst. You got a par 5 to finish, you can make up a shot there. So that would be my advice to anybody that plays that hole. If you want to get confident in hammer driver, that's great, but I told you so. But I would almost play it, like I said, play it for bogey, and if you make a par, you steal one. If you make a birdie, you're really stealing one.
Yeah. I never even thought about playing holes like that, actually. That's a really good tip to give people is, you don't always have to play for par and, risk it constantly. You could aim for something
And
higher
even
and
thinking
just
about
save
how
your
that
score that
green
way.
is, sorry, but the way
You're
that
good.
green's situated, if you do lay up and you give yourself a little 50-yard pitch shot, unless the pin's up, you're going to have a lot of green to work with, because that
Yes.
green is just so large. And so,
And that's one of the relatively more tame ones when it comes to undulations. There's not a lot of bends or dips or up slopes, down slopes with that one. That's relatively easy to where if you just have yourself a little chip pitch, anywhere between 50 and 100 yards, you hit something that I saw that was fantastic.
It's Oni.
But that would be my advice. Just play for your bogey, take 6 out of play, and if you end up making a par, then that's a win.
nice. All right, last thing, favorite hole. Andrew, go ahead.
Let me go back to this. I was looking at my cat. Hole 5. Back-to-back par 5s, but I think that's my favorite of the two. I always feel like it's a pretty wide open tee shot. Even if you end up way right, you can have a chance to come back. It's not OB. As a person who always fades or slices the ball, I'm always welcome to another hole being there or some land or even pine straw. At least you have a chance to not lose your favorite Bridgestone. And so elevated green on the approach, bunkers in the spots where it matters. So you can either go for it or you can play it short and just play it safe. I love how the tee shot is tree lined on the left and right, so it just makes for a really beautiful hole overall. That was also the hole where apparently I ripped it back. So I don't know. I've never had a bad time on that hole either. Out of the 5 or 6 times that I've played, is that hole never eats up my balls. I don't really play a ball to the left or hit a draw, so I always have a fun time playing there. What about you, Joe? What's your favorite hole over there?
I think I'm gonna go with 13. Par 5, and the tee shot's pretty demanding. You can kind of favor the left-hand side and avoid the fairway bunkers on the right. If you're in the fairway bunker, though, tough hole. It's going to be probably a 3-shot hole for sure. But a good drive, you can catch a little bit of a speed slot, and because that approach is downhill, you have that decision to go for it. I just feel like there's a lot of interesting decisions on that second shot because you got water short, and then you also have that random fairway bunker on the left where if you're not careful or you don't know and you end up in that, you end up with like a weird 70-yard bunker shot. So I just always felt like there was a lot of interesting risk reward and which way do I want to go? Do I want to go right and kind of leave myself short of the water and give myself that approach depending on where the flag is? Don't want to favor to the left, but maybe potentially take that bunker into play. So I just think it's a really well-made hole. You also have that weird, I always forget about that other little tiny bunker that's just like randomly in the fairway. It's another thing just to consider, to think about. And so I think it's just a really well-designed hole. And I love that approach coming in from kind of elevated down to the green. I think it's a great hole. So Tyler, what's your favorite?
13 was my honorable mention. That's my second. I think to your point, it makes you think a ton. It's not an easy step up and rip it par 5. You really have to think about it. My favorite is 18. I like that hole a lot. The finish on that with the clubhouse right there in your approach that's a picturesque photo, Instagram. I mean, you name it, that's awesome. We've had some events out there where you got the entire back patio lined with people heckling, 3 foot through. We had member guests, somebody missed a 3-footer to extend a 5-team playoff, and they were letting them have it. And it was great. It was awesome. So it sets up for stuff like that. And par 5, it can be gettable. You do have to play a little smart with the creek in front of the green, and that 3-tier green. I mean, from a setup standpoint, you can put the pin wherever you want. You can make it super easy. You can make it super challenging. So you can do a lot with that hole. It's not crazy long, So I think that's a really, really good finish. Something that you write home about, and you'll remember that when you leave.
The only thing, 18 probably would have been my choice, except I hate those 2 pine trees.
Yep.
2 pine trees guarding the right side of the green, because like the tee shot makes you want to be almost on the right hand side of the fairway, but then all of a sudden you got these giant pine trees that are guarding the back edge of the green. Or in my case, I was drawing in a 7-wood. It was looking beautiful and caught it and just shot it straight down, which is fine. I ended up parring the hole, but I hate those 2 pine trees. Those are the worst.
Well, I think it's fun too because you're right. Like the tee shot basically tells you got to start right, move it left. Then your second shot is you got to start left, move it right. So immediately you've got to hit different shot shapes. You can't just step up there and hammer it and go find it and hit it again. You have to seriously think about it. The layup's pretty forgiving. If you can lay up shy of there, you've got a quick little 30, 40-yard pitch to that 3-tiered green. So yeah, that's my favorite by far.
It's a great finisher, no doubt. I think when I did my top 5 finishing holes, it was honorable mention because it is a fantastic finishing hole, and I'm a sucker for a gettable par 5 finisher. I mean, that's what you want, right? On 18.
Yeah. You want to make your 3 walk off like you own the place and go tell your buddies about it. Yeah, 100%.
You want to make your 3 to shoot at 89 and.
Dude, what do you mean? I'm trying to save 9 on 18 every time I've played there. I'm fighting for my life on that hole. That is not my favorite hole. It's beautiful, but I am fighting for my life and my score there. It's so hard
But I
for
will
me.
say too, one thing that will enhance 18, in my opinion, is in the past, from the pictures I've seen, we've had the logo that was in grass on the hill.
Yes, on your website.
Yes. So we are working to bring it back. However, we are not going to do it in grass. We're going to do it in flowers. So we're going to do
Oh,
like the logo in flowers, and we'll change the flowers seasonally.
that's great.
But one of our team members is involved with some folks that, a local business that does that. So we're working on getting that done here, hopefully this year, before season starts. But I love that, and that would make that finishing hole 1,000 times better.
Just capitalizing on that logo, man. It's so unique.
It's too good not to. It's too good
Yeah.
not to.
Yeah. Put it everywhere. We'll put it on the carts. We'll,
Oh, yeah.
we'll give you stickers. Let's
Yeah.
just put on everything.
Put it on Band-Aids, like you name it. We're gonna
Oh
have it.
yeah. I love that.
I want a straw. I need a straw in the shape where it's like I can
Like a bendy straw?
I can see it
Like
go
the
through all
old
the
classic
shape.
bendy straws. The hard
Yeah,
plastic
the
ones.
pink,
Yeah.
purple, blue, yellow, like all those colors. Oh, dude.
That'd be amazing. Oh, love it. Well, Tyler, thanks so much, man, for your time and insights into the course. I think I speak for pretty much all of Atlanta golf, if I may, that what you guys are doing to bring the Frog back to its previous glory, and
Yes.
is really exciting for everyone. I think everyone's rooting for you guys to continue the progress that you're making. And we're really excited about the future of the Frog, and I think with you and what Bobby Jones Links does with courses,
Dude.
everyone has a lot of confidence. So, yeah, best of luck with everything, man. And we're excited to kind of see the growth, and keep us up to date with how things are going,
Yeah.
and we'll be rooting you on. Andrew, anything you want to say before we close things out?
Just thank you, Tyler, for your hospitality, willingness to be like on the podcast, and just like the work you're putting in. Again, like hearing all these great things about the Frog, and then going that first time and being let down, and then now hearing about what you wanted to do, and then now seeing it in action already after the summer is just, it's, I got to give you props. I got to give you your flowers. It's just, you're doing a great job. I think Bobby Jones Links is doing a great job of supporting you guys where it comes to, Chapel Hills, Mirror Lake, wherever it is, Legacy, Fox Creek. Bobby Jones Links has that touch where they just, they put their finger on something and it just starts to blossom and become great. And so I just hope that they're treating you guys as well as you guys are treating us as players. And so, yeah, just wanted to give you your flowers and applause to you, basically. Just thank you and thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's nice to see that, people hung on this place. It was a staple of Georgia golf for a while. And I hate the fact that, the players, the members, and specifically the staff and the team here, like they've had to go through a lot of crap. And not any of it is on them. So being able to restore this place to the former glory, not only just for guests and regulars to see it and hang their hat on it, but also for the team here to be a little proud of the product. I think that's the most important part. That's what I hold most sacred is being able to be a support for them, turn this place around so they can be happy that they work here and proud of it again.
Yeah, definitely. Anything you're working on? I mean, we've talked a little bit about, some of the plans, bunker innovation, that sort of thing. Anything else you want to let people in on some plans for 2026 that you guys might have up your sleeve or you're working towards?
So the big ones, we've done a lot of work and prep for tee boxes, like we mentioned. Greens, we're going to just continue what we've done last year. Those are really good. So maintaining that and pushing the envelope where we can with that. Driving range is another area that we're going to put some love into this year, just from an aesthetic standpoint, as well as a turf condition standpoint. We've got some overseeding plans in for the fall, just to make sure that we can beef those up. Those things can stay good through the winter. So it's a lot of just continuing to what we've been done last year, and pushing that a little further and a little harder, to just make it even better. Step by step. We can't go from 0 to 100. We got to get there. So just kind of building on those bricks again this year is what we've been working on the most.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Well, we'll be rooting you on, and
you.
thanks again for the time. And just for good measure, Atlanta golfers, if you haven't heard, I have launched the ATL Golfs Pass. What I did was I partnered with 20 courses all around the metro area where you can get a one-time 20% discount. So if you went to all 20 courses, you would save around $250. And even if you could only get to 10, you're going to end up saving $115, $120, $125. And so it's priced at $95. You can find the pass either at my website, atlgolfs.com, and go to the shop tab, or we'll have a link in the description below. Really appreciate the support so far. Thanks so much.
Well, Joe, that was really great talking to Tyler and talking about the frog. And so enough of the frog, though. I'm curious, what are you working on right now? We haven't really spoken in the last month. You've been doing a ton of work, so let's hear what's on your agenda right now.
Yeah, December was crazy, frankly. Did the crazy giveaway, and then right behind it, launched the Golf Pass. I cannot tell you. I mean, I could probably count on one hand how many hours of sleep I got between those 2 weeks. It was.
It's like zero, dude. I would Instagram message you
Bruh,
at like 5 a.m.
Dude, it was crazy trying to get all that stuff out and promote it and do it the right way. And yeah, so crazy stuff. But I'm excited for the new year. I'm excited to keep things rocking and rolling. We've hit off on a really high note, I think, with the Atlanta Golf Superlatives, really ticking up my follower counts. I'm just excited about everything. So what's coming down the pike? Let's see. So got a top 5 collaboration with the Pure Golf Society, which is Morgan. He's an amazing photographer, but he plays all the private courses and I don't. So he's given us his top 5 in collaboration with me. So I'm excited for that post to come out probably the next week. I'm working on a fundraiser, and I've mentioned this in the newsletter a couple times, but Thurl High School golf team, I've been working with them, trying to figure out exactly what they need to be funded. And I've got an itemized list. I'm going to some different brands and just figuring out what can be donated, what needs to be added to a fundraiser. And I'm really trying hard to get that off the ground. It's been a little bit of a slog and a bunch of other stuff going on, but I do think that hopefully by the end of this month, I can launch a fundraiser for them. And it's not that much. So that'd be really cool to be able to leverage our followers and the ATL Golfs brand to fund a Atlanta public school golf team, right? That'd be so
sick.
So I think that's great. And then another two more things actually. Geez. I just partnered with Swingworks Golf Inc. I did a little post today actually on my story, but they have a golf day tournament in May, and it's awesome. I don't think there's another tournament like this in the Atlanta area where it's professionals, like literally players that have qualified for Korn Ferry events and attend Monday qualifiers, and then elite amateurs. The structure is a shamble, 2-man shamble, and there's $15,000 goes to the winning team, and then second place gets 10, and then third place gets 5. Like serious money up for grabs for playing golf, and it's going to be at Heron Bay. And so I've signed a contract with them to actually head up a lot of their marketing efforts over the next 2 to 3 months, which is I'm excited about. And basically my goal is to get a bunch of people to show up. And guess what? It's free. So it's like the easiest thing ever to come to. And it's going to be a ton of brand activation, free club fitting, free ball fitting, vendors, food trucks, etc. down at Heron Bay is where it's going to be. So we'll put a link actually to where you can register. And again, it's free. It's just Eventbrite. Say at Eventbrite, put your name and email, and that locks your spot in because there's only so much space at Heron Bay. And so I'm really excited about working with Swingworks and pulling that event off. So that's gonna be really cool. And then literally just agreed to a little partnership with Swing Easy, a really new company that's kind of focusing in on getting into golf a bit more easier, more inclusive, less intimidating. And so we did a little deal with the Golf Pass. They're going to be going to the Golf Pass courses, creating content. I'm going to be supporting them in a couple different ways and collaborating efforts. So that's Swing Easy. You can find them on Instagram. And Malachi Jones is part of them, and a couple other guys that I'm excited to work with. So it's a lot of stuff, man. And then of course there's content, and there's courses to be reviewed, and the top 5s to be made. Yeah. So we're rocking and rolling, man. We're rocking and rolling. But what's coming down with the podcast, Andrew? What's going on? What we have? What can the people look forward to?
Well, so for that month where we weren't putting out episodes, I was putting in a little bit of work. Joe was putting in most of the work. I was definitely too busy packing up boxes and didn't have access to my computer. But so collaboratively, we've put together, 3 courses that we're gonna review. So Cobblestone, Heron Bay, and Crystal Lake on the podcast. Two great ideas from Joe. The Blackballed story with JG, the owner and founder of Blackballed Golf. And then another really cool one that I'm super excited for is Reimagining Chastain with Bill Bergen. If you guys don't know who he is, he's redesigned or designed and renovated tons of courses in the Atlanta area. One that I can remember is he did a lot of the range and bunker work over at Druid Hills. And so, this guy knows what he's doing if he's working with Druid Hills, one of the top elite courses in Atlanta. And so I'm just really looking forward to something like that. It'll kind of help break up the monotony of the course reviews and kind of doing the same thing week after week and week. Just realize that this podcast is obviously a thing that is growing and changing constantly. And so, yeah, just looking forward to that pretty much. I don't know if this
that one's gonna be fun. I was so stoked. I literally sent Bill a DM on Instagram and said, "Hey, here's the concept. Would you be down to work on a reimagining hole by hole of Chastain?" He was like, "Yes. I used to walk by Chastain all the time," and he's like super stoked about it. So, I think we're gonna do some really cool stuff around that one. Maybe we'll get someone to design some of the whole ideas that he has. I think we can do a really good job with that one. So, really looking forward to pulling that one off.
Yeah. So if you haven't subscribed yet, definitely do so, and then follow us on Instagram. Obviously, we'll post more things about that. But it's this year is going to be friggin' awesome for the ATL Golfs podcast. I can already feel it.
No doubt. In fact, it's going to be so freaking good that you deserve
another applause.
But for real, Andrew, thank you for all your work, man. And last year kicking this thing off, and obviously you had a little hiatus in December for you to move to your new spot. But man, excited for what 2026 is going to bring for the podcast. And please go ahead. Oh, that was an accident. Subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the newsletter, follow us on social media, do all the things, support Atlanta Golf, and we will see you guys next time.
See you guys.